Welcome to SourceCAD. In this video, I'll make a simple 3D bottle shape in Fusion 360, and mostly I'll be using the patch workspace for this. So let's first switch to the patch environment, and for that you need to go to this model right here and change your workspace to patch. Now in this workspace, we will be able to make the surfaces that we need for this kind of organic shape. And I'll also use a reference image for making this. So let's begin by adding that reference image. Now to add the reference image, I'll go to this insert option right here and I'll select attached canvas. Now we have this attached canvas palette. Let's just bring it here. And then we need to select a face on which we want to attach it. So we have the UC as the origin as well as 3 planes visible here. Let's select this one. And it's now selected. Now click on this image icon and locate that image. So in this case, I already have my image on the desktop. So it's going to prompt me with this open window. So I have a desktop selected here. I'm going to select bottle and open. So you can also download this image using the link in the description. So I've provided the link. Just go to that and download this image if you want. Now, once inserted, the image will look like this, although this is not very clear kind of image, but still will work with this. We need to just calibrate its size and move it properly. For this case, let's just use this move tool to move it approximately at this point, and I'm going to click on OK. All right. Now the first thing that we need to do here is change the size. So let's assume that the total height of this bottle is like 300 millimeters, and we'll use that as a reference to make this. Now to set the size, we need to use the Calibrate option. So before that, I'm going to go to this right view so that the bottle is clearly visible. Now I'll go to this canvas option. I'm going to expand it from the browser, and there you'll see the image. Select, right click, and select Calibrate. And now we can define 2 points. So I'm going to select this point here as the first point, and then another point right here. Now this distance should be like 300 mm. So I'm going to type 300 and press enter. Okay, let's just zoom out. That's it. That's enough. Now we can use this image as a reference, and then we can make our drawing with this. But first, let's move it properly with respect to the origin. So I'll go to this origin option, and you can see that this light bulb icon is off. Click on it to turn it on, and now you will be able to see the origin properly along with all the planes and axes. So once again, we'll move this image. So I'll select this bottle image from the canvas, and I'll select edit canvas. And once again, we have this move tool. So let's just move it up so that the origin is somewhere here. So somewhere over here, a little bit here and a little bit to the left. That looks good. Okay, that looks good. So I'm going to click on OK. There we have it. Now let's start making our shape. And for that, I'll go to spline tool. So before doing that, let's select the plane first, and to do that you can go to this sketch option and then select your plane. All right, the plane is selected. Now we're ready to make our sketch. Now you can start your sketch from this drop down. Go to sketch and select the spline tool, and right here we have a spline, or you can also use the shortcut. So simply type S, and that's going to show you a sketch shortcut. I already have some of the shortcuts added here, so I can directly select the tool from this list. But if you don't have the tool in this list, then you can also make a search for that. For example, if you type spline here, it's going to show you all the splines which are available. So in this case, I already have it here, so I'll select it from here. And now I'll start from origin. Okay, let's press escape and let's repeat the last command. So here it is. So press and hold right click and drag your cursor up so to repeat the last command. Now I'm going to click here at the origin. Let's zoom in and let's make a couple of points. So I will try not to be very precise. I'm not trying to be very precise in this case, so I'll just add a few of these points, but not too many points. That's obviously not needed. So just a couple of points here to give it the appearance that we need. That's it. And okay, you don't need to be very precise, and you don't need to make sure that this thing follows the complete curve. That's not at all necessary in this case. So just make a rough sketch that follows it. That looks kind of good. So I'll leave my cursor here and I'll press escape key. Now we can use another curve to complete this, and for this I think arc will be perfect. So again, type S, and here we have this 3-point arc. So now I'm going to click here, first point, and the second point somewhere here, and the third point around here. That's it. Now we have a sharp corner here with respect to this spline and this curve. We just don't have a smooth transition between these two, so we need to take care of that, and for that I'll add a constraint. So I'm going to select this and this, and I'll go to tangent and I'll apply that constraint, and look at this. Now we have a smooth transition between these 2 points here, and we have the tangent constraint. Obviously it will affect the remaining part of the curve, but that we can take care of in a moment. Now let's add other part of this. So I'm gonna go to line. Now I'll click on this point. So the first thing is this distance, then I'm gonna move it a little bit to the left and up, and approximately to this angle. Again, you don't need to be very precise in this case. And once again, we need to just move up, maybe up to this length, and well, that's enough. Now we can exit this. So I'm gonna click here to exit this command. All right, and I'll press escape. So here also we have a sharp curve that we can avoid, and to do that, first let me just select all of these here, and I'm gonna move it a little bit to the right, just like this. Okay, and now I'm gonna add a fillet. So here we have the fillet tool. Obviously you can go to sketch and select the fillet tool. I've already added the fillet tool here, so I have it available here. If you don't have it here, go to the list and select fillet. Now I'm going to click on this, and let's add a fillet of 3 unit and press enter. Okay, that's done. Now let's modify the overall curve here. So we have this curve pretty good, and not that much of modification is needed, but still I'll try to make it look good, and I'll try to make it as precise as possible with respect to the sketch that we have, with respect to the background image that we have. So I'm going to just modify it a little bit like this, and that kind of looks good. Okay, so we'll just leave it here, and now let's make another reference curve here. For that, I'll go to sketch, and I'm going to click on this origin, and I'll make a single straight line like this. Okay, press escape and click on this reference line and select construction. Now that line is converted into a construction line, which we'll use in a moment. Now let's click on this stop sketch. So now go to create, revolve, select this one, this profile here that we created, and for the axis we need to select this construction line that we created, and that's it. Now simply click on OK. There we have it. Okay, so the profile is created and everything is here, but it's not very clear because of the background image. So you can decrease the transparency of background image, or you can hide it completely. So to hide it, just click on this light bulb icon, and that will be hidden properly, and you can see the profile, and the bottle shape is kind of clearly visible. We just need to add some details here now. So for the details, once again, I'm going to activate this. Okay, we need it here for now, and I'm going to start with this part here. So if you hide it here, you'll notice that, just let's go to this bodies, and let's just hide the bodies. And now you'll notice that we have this kind of shape here that we need to make. So I'll start with this one, and to make that kind of shape we need to first activate the bodies, and let's hide the canvas. Okay, and now we need to make an offset here. So go to create and offset. Now we need to make an offset surface for this. So just select this one, and this is going to make an offset. And so maybe let's select the complete surface. So I'm going to just uncheck this. Okay, and again select this complete surface. Okay, now again move this arrow inside, and now you can clearly see the gap here. So just eyeball this gap, and in this case the gap is kind of like 1 millimeter. So maybe we can add the number here also. So -1 and tab key. That looks good, so I'm going to keep this value. So enter, and that offset is now created. All right, so now let's make an offset plane as well. So we have the canvas here, and we'll make an offset plane here. So I'm going to go to construct and offset plane. So select this plane, and let's just rotate this a little bit and move it out. Looks good. So okay, and our plane is now created here. Okay, so now we need to split this body in half, and to do that I'm going to go to modify, and I'll select a split body. So we have two offset planes, and we'll select both of them. So select this body 1 and body 2, and you can obviously select the object from this browser, or you can click here as well. So I've selected that these two objects from the browser here, and you can see that these are now added here. Now we need to select a splitting tool, and for the splitting tool I'm going to select the plane on which we have the canvas. So this is the plane on which we have canvas. So click on this splitting tool and select this plane. Now you can see the preview here, the way it will be splitted, and just click on OK, and there we have it. So it's split in two different parts. So we don't need that half of the body, we just need one half of it. So there it is. Another half is no longer needed, and now we can make that shape. So I'm going to go to this plane and create sketch. On this plane we'll make our sketch, but before that let's activate the canvas. We need that now. There we have it. The shape is barely visible here just because of this background image. So you can take the reference of that, or you can increase the transparency to see it more clearly. In this case we can work with this. So let's go to sketch and select ellipse. Now ellipse will be made here, and for that I'm going to start from a point. Now whenever I'm moving my object here, look at this, it's creating these dotted lines. So these are the reference points which Fusion is automatically selecting. If you want to override that, simply press and hold Control key, and then Fusion will ignore all the references. Okay, now it will make your geometry without any reference point. So just click and hold, and now there we have it. Now I'm going to click here. All right, and just move out, and look at this. Now we have our ellipse. So maybe I'll just click right here. That looks good, and stop sketch. That's it. Now let's make another plane. So I'll go to create, extrude. This is the one which we need to extrude to this side. All right, and okay. So now we have two offset planes, and we need to just trim it. We need to keep the part that we need, and we need to trim everything that is not necessary and that is not needed. So the first thing is canvas, just hide it. Now go to modify and trim. Now we need to start with the trim tool. In this case, the trim tool will be this object. We need this one as a reference, so select that. Now select the part which you want to trim. We want to trim this part, so click inside this. Just make note that we have both the surfaces, so I'm selecting the surface which is inside. So click here and click on OK, and look at this. So that surface is now gone, and we only have a surface inside this. Okay, and everything outside is now gone. Let's repeat the process again. So I'm going to go to modify and trim. Again, we have the same object as the trim tool, and in this case we'll select the part which is inside here as the body which we need to remove. So I'm going to select this one, and okay, there we have it. Okay, now we have it. Now we need to again repeat the process. So we can do it in two different ways. We can either trim this part, or we can just use Loft tool here. So let's first try lofting this one. So I'm going to select this body 5, this trim tool, and I'm going to hide it. So that's now gone, and look at this. Now we have both of these surfaces, but there is a gap between them, and you can clearly see the gap here. Just look at this. We have a little bit of gap. To fill this gap, I'll use Loft. So I'll go to create and I'll select Loft. Now I'll select this one, this profile, and the second profile right here. Okay, both of them are now selected, and let's click OK, and the loft is created. Alright, so now let's add other details here. Now for that, I'm going to start from this part here. So the bottom of this bottle should not be like this, otherwise it won't be able to stand on its own. So we need to take care of that, and for that I'm going to just select this plane right here, and I'll go to sketch, and we need to make another sketch here. So once again I'm going to go to arc, and obviously you need to select 3-point arc. So we have 3-point arc here, and I'll start from this point somewhere here. So the second point should be here, and I'm going to add the third point maybe here. Okay, we need to constrain this one properly, and we need to change a little bit here and there. So the first thing is these two should be collinear, so select them, both of them, and just make sure they're horizontal like this. And this one is obviously vertical, so you don't need to change anything there, but we need to make sure that this one is tangent. And so here we need to just ensure that this is exactly straight here, which it is not, you can clearly see. So for this case I'm going to just make these 2 points vertical. So select the center and this point and make sure it's perfectly vertical like this. There we have it. Now this is going to take care of that. So now we can increase the curvature here, maybe a little bit like this, just a little bit more. That seems good. And now just stop the sketch. Okay, and once again we'll make another profile. So I'm going to go to create, revolve, I'll select this one, and for the axis once again select this construction line, and there we have it. Okay, it's also created. Now we need to again get rid of this, and for that, well, go to modify and trim. This one is the trimming tool, and this object needs to go, and okay, and that's trimmed. Now we can just get rid of the remaining part here in a moment after making the symmetrical shape on the other side, but before that let's try adding the fillet here. So we have the sharp curve, and I'm going to go to modify and fillet, and well, let's add a corner here. So this is the sharp corner that we want to use here for the fillet, and let's add a little bit of radius here. That doesn't seem to work. We have an error message here, so even with very small radius, Fusion is not able to make it. So let's just leave this fillet tool for now, and I'm going to cancel it out. And now instead of adding this loft, maybe we should try trimming. So we have loft here, which is way back inside this drawing. So I'm going to go to that, and I'm going to just delete this. So just select and delete. Now this stitch tool will show an error message because it is dependent on that, so we need to delete that obviously as well, and we have the gap now. we have problem with the surface trim, but that will be fixed automatically. So the surface trim problem is related to this part. That will be fixed, don't worry. But first we need to take care of this. So I'm going to just activate this body 5, this one. And again, I'll use trim tool. So I'll go to trim, and in this case, I'll select this one as trim tool, and I'm going to click here as the object to trim. There we have it. It's gone. And let's do it again for this one. So I'm going to go to trim. Now, in this case, this is the object, the trimming tool, and this is the one that needs to go, and okay. So there we have it. So we now have this gap here, which is merged. The color is different because its direction is reversed, so we need to reverse that as well. So I'm going to go to modify and reverse normal, select this plane and click OK. So that's going to reverse the direction of this plane. Now let's try adding fillet again. I'm going to go to modify and fillet, and now this edge, and it won't let me do that because we need to first stitch them together. So again, go to stitch, this part, and this one, and that's gonna stitch them all together, and click on OK. That's stitched. All right, and now let's try fillet again. So I'm gonna go to fillet, and let's try this edge with a radius of 0.5, and that seemed to be working perfectly. So look at this, now this is added. So I'll keep that radius here, and also I'll add another edge. So add this new edge as well, and we'll try this same value for this edge. All right, looks good. Let's zoom out to see this, and yep, that looks good. So I'm going to keep this value, and I'll click on OK, and that's added. Now let's take care of this feature here. So let's modify this. So right click on this and select edit feature. And once again, we need to specify the properties here. So clearly we need to first select the trim tool. So let's just get rid of this first. And in the trim tool, we need to select this one. And then object to remove is this, and OK. And that's now fixed. All right. Now we can make the mirrored image of this. And for that, let's go to create and mirror. And we need to make mirror image of bodies, not faces. So I'm going to select bodies and select the objects. So I'm going to select all of these. Just make sure you don't select this object. We don't need to do that. We just need to select this one here, which is body 9 in this case. Then mirroring plane is the plane which was a splitting plane, which is this one. Select that, and look at this. It will make the mirror image. Just click on OK, and we have this shape here. Now we can just merge them together using stitch tool. So again, modify, stitch, select them both, and OK. So now this one is combined into a single object, and now we can take care of this part. So again, modify and trim. So the trimming tool in this case is this bottle, and the object to remove is this part, and OK. That's it. Again, in this case, you can clearly see that the color is different. This one is a little different. So that means the direction of the surface is reversed. We need to take care of that. So again, reverse normal, modify, reverse normal, select this one, and OK. So the direction is now proper. And again, fillet. So modify, fillet, and this edge, but we won't be able to do that because we need to stitch it. So again, stitch, select them both, and OK. And now we can do that. So fillet, this edge, the radius should be like 2 unit. That looks good, but maybe we can just increase that value to 5. That looks way better than that one. So I'll just keep that value of 5, and OK. And there we have it. So the base is done and the bottle is almost done. We just need to add the cap here. To add the cap, well, once again, we need to make the profile, and we'll do that on this plane. So select the plane and click on create sketch. Let's zoom into this area, and let's make that using line tool. So I'm gonna start from here, and it should go somewhere here, and just like this, and here, and maybe just zoom in a little bit here like this, and just upwards right here, and we just need to finish it here. Okay, that's enough. All right, we need to add a couple of fillets. So fillet this point, a little bit more like this, and enter again one more fillet just here, a smaller value of fillet. Done. And really very small values of fillet here, and here. Just zoom in. Maybe we just need to just change it again. Okay, I'll try that again. So fillet here and here, just a small value, and enter. In a similar way, we need to add fillets here. So fillet and all of these edges. All right, looks good. So enter. Okay, also we need to just ensure that this thing is exactly along this line. So just select that, and I'll select this point here, and I'll make sure they are vertical, and now they are. Okay, so we can now convert this one again into a bottle cap. For that, again, I'll go to create, revolve. Well, you know the profile which we need to select, then axis. Well, you know that axis as well, and that axis is here, and that's it. And okay, and here we have the cap. So the cap is also made, and everything is done. Okay, so now our bottle shape is fully prepared, and we have the surface model here, and everything here is made with surfaces or with patches. But obviously in real life that's not the case. We need objects with some thickness. Surfaces have kind of zero thickness, which is not practical, so we need to convert this thing into a solid object with a finite thickness. Now to do that, you need to ensure that you are first in the patch workspace, and then we'll first convert this one into solid. Now to do that, I'll go to bodies, and I'm going to expand this one. So we have these two bodies, the visible one, the bottle shape, and the cap. So let's start with the cap. So I'll hide the bottle, the complete bottle, and we just have this cap visible. Let's just zoom into this area. I'll bring this into view, and now I'll go to create and patch. Now we'll fill this gap here, and I'll just select the edge and click on OK. Now this is completely closed 3D solid, and we need to stitch it. So I'll go to modify and stitch, select it all, and OK. As soon as you stitch this, Fusion will convert this thing into a solid object. So look at the browser now. Now body 15 is created, which is a solid object. Let's rename this one. All right, that's cap. Now let's do the same for the body. So I'm gonna just make this one visible, the complete body, and I'll hide the cap. Okay, so we have the top one. So I'll go to create, patch, this one here, and OK. And once again, stitch, select it all, and OK. And again, we have body 17, which is, again, we'll just rename this, and I'll call this bottle, or maybe we can just call this body. Okay, now let's bring both the objects here, and there it is. Now this is no longer a surface, and it's converted into a solid shape, and we can make it hollow. So before we do that, let's add a section analysis so that we can see what's going on inside this. So I'll go to inspect, section analysis, and let's select this face for the sectioning, and look at this. Now this is completely solid filled object. These hatches actually indicate the area which is solid filled. Obviously that's not the case with a bottle, it should be hollow. So I'm going to click on OK. We'll keep that section, and a new folder will be created here in the browser with analysis name. Let's just hide this for now. Okay, and let's shell it out. To make the shell, you need to go to this model workspace. So once again, move back to model, and now one by one we'll shell this object. So I'll go to bodies, and again I'm going to start with the cap. So I'll hide the body, and let's orbit this a little bit. I'll go to modify and shell. Select this part here, just this part, and add the thickness of this shell. So I'm going to add 1 mm and press tab key, and look at this. The shell is now created. Just click on OK. And let's add fillets because this has kind of sharp corners. So I'll go to modify, fillet. I'll select this one, and maybe a fillet of 0.3 unit. Okay, that looks good. So enter. Okay, we are done. Let's repeat the process for the other one. So I'm going to just hide cap. I'll bring this body here, and again modify, shell this part here, and this time let's make it of 0.5 thickness, 0.5 mm. Looks good. So okay, and there we have it. So once again we can add fillets here. So I'll go to modify, fillet, this edge and this edge, and we can add a radius of 0.1, or maybe 0.2 is also fine here. Yep, that looks also good. So 0.2 and enter. There we have it. So now we have this hollow bottle, and we also have the cap. So let's bring both the objects here, and let's check the section analysis once again. So I'll activate analysis, and look at this. And now we can clearly see the sectioned area here. So we have the sectioned area of the cap as well as the body, and everything looks kind of good here. We don't have any problem. Maybe let's just look at this part as well. Yep, that looks good. So now the complete drawing is finished. So let's deactivate analysis, and that's our final bottle shape. So this is how you can make this kind of bottle shape with a combination of patch and model workspaces. You can also make photorealistic images using the render workspace, which we'll not discuss for now. That's for another video. And I hope you like this video. If you have any questions related to this, just let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to share this one. Once again, thanks for watching.